It's all happening. Hello, party people. Well, welcome to That Pedal Show. Viewers, comments, and questions. Live. Dan here.
Mickey here, hello.
Hope you're all wonderful. Hope you've all had a great week. We weren't on last week because we've had, I think we call it Act of God. The internet was down. And by Act of God, of course, I mean Elon Musk. Yeah, no internet last week. But yes, we're back. And all the numbers look good. So hurrah. And on my right.
Hello everyone.
Yeah, Michael.
Welcome to Viewers, Comments and Questions
Live.
With me, what did he say? Michael A. Taylor Esquire.
That's very good.
Daniel E. Steinhardt Esquire.
Daniel E. Steinhardt Esquire.
Yeah, we're not quite as quick as Gregory Cockery, of course, but there we are.
No.
Hello everyone, welcome. Let's begin by saying thank you to BV for being in the chat and reminding us of what's going on, and also reminding me of what's going on.
Lovely.
Very
yes.
helpful.
Thank you, BV.
Thank you.
Beautiful man.
I think we're right for volume, aren't we? I
think we're good.
The meters are reading low. I might have to turn it up a bit more, but let's see. We'll see what the people say.
What the people say.
Have you had an enjoyable week, Daniel?
Man, I don't even know anymore. It's Monday, right? It's Monday. And it feels like it's already been a week.
Yeah.
But I think everyone feels the same. Tell me if you feel the same, but I think everyone feels the same.
Yeah. I suppose it depends how regimented your life is, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you and I live lives that are not particularly governed by having to be somewhere at any time. Like
having to be at lots of places at lots of times.
Lots of people who have normal jobs have to kind of be at work, and then they go home, and then they have weekends. But that doesn't exist for you and I, really. So
yeah, weekends don't exist.
It's kind of easy to get confused.
Yeah, I'm easily confused. You know this.
Yeah, well, it's not your job to. Hello, Alexander Roy. Hello, Lee Brimble. Hello, Dave Hart. Hello, Nelly Bob. Hello, Doug Drysdale. Mr. Drysdale. Hello, Rob Brewer. Hello, mate. From an overcast Bristol. Yeah, it's overcast here.
Yeah.
Whoever it is supplies the BBC weather has got it so spectacularly wrong this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it supposed to be sunny and lovely?
It was supposed to be sunny.
Right, okay.
Which, you know, it's largely pointless to moan about the weather, but we do it a lot anyway. If you're wondering why we're wearing these lanyards around our necks, it's because that Pedal Show store has got some new products.
Indeed. Let's start at the base end of...
At the leg end.
Check it out. Don't fall, Dan. Don't fall. Valve socks. The valves actually keep your feet warmer.
Yeah. New socks at thatpedalshowstore.com. We have had a bit of comedy with the sizing. They came in kind of massive, and we thought, well, those socks are too big for any human. But after a couple of washes, they've become regular foot sized.
I really like them.
Yeah, they're nice. When
really...
you get them, they've got quite a lot of spandex in them, and they feel kind of thin and a bit flimsy. But once you wash them a couple of times, it all tightens up and they feel jolly nice.
He's a maniac.
So socks, lanyards, shirts, all kinds of really brilliant things. Straps, we've got some more straps.
Yeah.
And on the end of my lanyard here, you'll see a polishing cloth, which is not available from that Pedal Show store.
Oh. There we go.
But it does have a string brand on it, and we can reveal that we have changed strings to Stringjoy, and they will be in store in a few weeks. Yeah, we've changed string brands.
We have.
Yeah,
I like a change.
Yeah, we'll tell the story in as and when we make a video about it. But
Yep.
yeah, been playing around with lots of strings and
Yep.
just really like these, so we changed.
And on my lanyard is this. My old early Muff Fuzz. Reason being, who did we go and see on Wednesday, Michael?
Oh, was it David Gilmour? First things first, Chris Smith, thank
Chris.
you legend, you legend.
What a beautiful human.
for
What a fascinating human.
yes. So Chris Smith, viewer and now friend.
Highway to the danger zone. Chris was an F-14 fighter pilot.
You shouldn't really say things like that on the air.
What's that? Was a fighter? Can't say fighter pilot.
He watched Top Gun once. But he's a big fan of Top Gun.
Okay, right. Anyway, beautiful. Really,
Really big fan
just
of Top
a
Gun.
big fan of Top Gun. A really lovely guy, and
Took us to Albert's Hall.
took us to see David Gilmour at Albert Hall.
Yeah, which was pretty spectacular. So thank you, Chris.
Yep,
And yeah, good it was too.
it was wonderful.
Good it was too. Good it was too. He's for somebody who's 78. Well, for someone who's 38, he played remarkably well.
Yeah,
For David Gilmour at 78, he played remarkably well.
and easily some of the best vocals. That thing they did around the piano was absolutely remarkable.
It was a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And it played Comfortably Numb at the end, and I was like very moved.
Comfortably numb.
I was comfortably numb. Yeah.
I wasn't sure what that was about. I wondered if it might be about heroin addiction or something else. I looked it up on Wikipedia, and Wikipedia it says that Roger was tranquilised once in the US while on tour, and it's about that. If anyone wants to expand on that,
Oh,
please
wow.
do. Yeah.
Oh,
I've just turned the
amazing.
super chats off because we have lots.
Okay.
BB, thank you for the reminders. So if you've super chatted up to this point, I believe Jeff Harper is the last in. So we'll answer all of those, which we'll gallop to in a second. David Pekarski has bought a Fryer Z-Max amp switcher. Allows for impedance matching and sounds ace. Nice one, David.
Nice.
Jimmy Cherry Mojo says Buenos dias from Eureka, California. Is there really a place called Eureka in California?
Eureka!
That seems astonishing, Dan.
Oh, Chris Smith's on. He says, thanks for the
Chris.
shout out. You're welcome, mate. And he did correct me. So I'm corrected, Chris. Thank you, buddy. Yeah. What a night. And Troll Stern says, when is Gilmour coming on the show? Well, you know, he keeps calling. It's like, man, just give us a break.
I can't see Davey coming on this show. The man is 78, for goodness sake. Give him a break.
Yeah. We would of course love to have him on the show. It would be amazing. But yeah. I think
If it happens, it happens.
if it happens, it
But
happens. Wouldn't it be wonderful?
We think it's unlikely, to be fair. Sabadius Electronics is on. Hello.
Hello, mate.
Maker of, I think, my favourite Univibe type pedal.
Nice.
Nice to hear from you guys. Danielle is on. Danielle Williams, hello. Casey Cole, 4001. Airfire Ed is on. Todd Roy is on. Matt Swanton. Nathan Lundy Maynard. Todd Roy, hey Todd. George Skelly. Loads of good friends on, so thank
Yes.
you so much for joining us.
Wonderful.
Yeah, cool. Let us gallop to the super chats then and see what we're thinking about this week.
Indeed.
What have you been thinking about this week, Dan?
Well, a number of things that we've got coming up, some very, very fun things. I've been deep in the fun things, which has been awesome. And just other fun things. It was my mother-in-law's 80th birthday last Saturday,
Wow.
which we went out and had a lovely time.
Very nice.
Yes. Yeah, it's good. Just so full on busy at the moment.
Yeah.
Hell, I had friends over from Australia as well, which was great. Great to see those people and hang out, sort of a surprise visit, which was lovely.
It's a long way.
It's a long way to come.
Yeah, for tea.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Non-aligned. Hello, non-aligned. Do you have a favourite guitar memory?
Man, favourite guitar memory. Yeah,
Too many.
it's too many.
I've got one, but
Go on.
Christmas, 14 years old, box under the sofa, yellow Strat.
Get in.
Yeah. Cheers, Dad, if you're watching.
Uh,
Oh, gee,
Okay.
if you're on, this is your tea, by the way. Flipping heck, man. A serious tea.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, really lovely. I was probably 10, if that. And I heard this sound coming from my brother's bedroom. I went in and he had an SG into a Marshall JCM 800 in his room, just quiet. And he's like, "Oh, listen to this." I'll never forget it. It was the first time I'd been in a room with the sound. You know, when it's like, I know that sound. That was that sound.
And there it is.
And it's like, that's it. I was like, that's it, I'm done. That's that sound. It was incredible. So I'll never forget that.
Adventures in Gearland is on. Says he's going to watch Ariel tonight at the Portland Arms in
Oh,
Cambridge.
beautiful.
That's mad. I used to go to the Portland Arms when I lived in Cambridge. I'm pleased to know that it still exists and does gigs. How lovely.
Lovely.
Say hello from us. Plexico. Duncan, he says, down, missed the start this week. Hello D&M, welcome back. Wanted to check on your NAMM 2025 plans and a TPS experience day in California, perhaps. It's not out of the question.
Yeah, I really want to go next year. I haven't been for years.
You want to go to NAMM?
Yeah, I haven't been since pre-dark times. And I'd love to go.
Yeah, well,
We've got lots going on.
it depends how things go between now and then.
Yeah.
To be frank about it, yeah, it would be. I guess it would be nice to go to NAMM.
It
I
would
don't
be
know. I
lovely.
don't want to go to NAMM. I want to go and see people.
Well, exactly. I don't
See
want, I've
friends.
got no interest in going, but
Yeah.
I want to go and see people. I want
It
to
is
go
a
and
good
see Andy and
Excuse to see friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yes, Duncan, consider us thinking about that. Trouble is, we have to make a decision quite quickly, and we might not be able to make a decision until January. Oh well, let's see how it goes. Sam Colson, hello Sam.
hello, Sam.
A few months ago, you teased a new TPS pedal collab. Any news on that front yet, or should I just keep saving my pennies? Keep saving.
Keep
It'll be
saving.
soon enough. There
Yeah.
are 2 things in the pipeline as it goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, keep saving. Hopefully before Christmas. On both.
Yeah.
William Young. Hello, William.
Hello, William.
I'm in love with the preamp of the Deep Oggin, the Thorpe Deep Oggin, which is a chorus.
Chorus. Yeah.
Chorus. But I feel like I'm wasting it just for the preamp as an always on. Is the Boss BP1 Wazza the closest next best thing, other than buying 2 Deep Oggins? Yes.
Yeah, I think
sounds great.
so. It does sound good. I do think that the Thorpe is obviously, well, not obviously, but the Thorpe is all through whole components, all hand done. It's a different way to do it than the way the Boss pedals are done. The Boss pedal still sounds great, but I'd be very interested to know if you got the Boss pedal, how that translates next to the Deep Organ, because I had the same thing with my original CE1, that the preamp in it is a magical thing. And for a while, it was my main overdrive pedal, the CE1, just in a loop, turn it on, it was like, whoa. The Boss does, you know, it has that design in there, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
We should test it.
Yeah, we can do that.
That would be an interesting show.
Yeah.
Because it may have passed many of you by that the sound of some of those classic era analog choruses, delays, flanges, etc. is the preamp. Same with old things like I don't know, Echo X and various tape echoes and things like that. A big part of the sound is how the preamp works. So that's obviously happening in the C1 as you suggest. There are loads and loads of good preampy boosters out there.
Loads of good ones.
One that we really like is the one by Crazy Tube Circuits, the Superconductor.
Yep.
Because it's really tweakable. So quite often if you get like a single knob boost, let's take an EP boost for example, perhaps the most popular boost. Inside you've got a few little toggle switches and stuff, which is great because you can get a wider variety of sounds, but it still always sounds like an EP booster. With something like the, I keep forgetting what it's called. I just said it.
Superconductor.
Superconductor. All that tweakability is available on the top panel. So if you want it a bit brighter, if you want it to cut a bit of bass, etc., you can do that really quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we would recommend that. But yeah, it would be good to, let's do it. Let's have a listen.
Yeah.
I'd really like the BP one. I think it,
it's great.
Sounds fat and full. And,
yeah, it's really great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really great.
Michael Giliberto. Hey, Michael. He says, I've expanded my board, adding a rattler. Dialed in, took it to rehearsal. On one song, it was perfect. Light touch during the vocals, dug in for fills and solos. On another song, it was totally buried. What are your thoughts?
Oh, man, it could be a number of things. What happened in the song where it was buried? Did everything lift and you ran out of headroom? If you had, man, it could be a number of things. This is where a master boost or a master way to increase or, to control the volume at the end of the signal path can be a really good thing so that you retain the basic gain structure right up until the end. So you're not changing the feel. You've got the feel that you like and all that sort of stuff. But if you need more and you've got headroom in the amp to go there, you can just lean on it a bit. Yeah. But I would need to know more information before we could accurately describe exactly what happened.
If there were just 3 things in your chain, you, guitar, well, actually 4. You, guitar, rattler, amp, you've got 4 areas in which gain can increase and overload. And by overload, I mean distort and lose headroom. It can happen that maybe in the song that you were, it was very audible. You weren't hitting the guitar very hard.
Yeah.
I don't know, but just as a for instance. And everything's good and everything's getting through. If you just change one thing, i.e. you turn the guitar up and it's humbuckers and you hit the guitar really hard, you might hit the pedal's threshold of headroom. So actually it doesn't get any louder, it just gets squashier and more distorted, so it will just disappear. Similarly, that relationship can happen anywhere down the chain, including into the front of the amp. It might be happening in more than one, so it might just be that a bit more vigour from you ends up as being more squash.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind that a lot of amps, depending on, let's say it was a deluxe reverb, for example, you hit that harder, it overdrives more in the bass, it gets ostensibly quieter.
Yeah.
So I suspect, as Dan suggested, it's just a relationship of gain structure somewhere in there.
The other thing to keep in mind, if this was later on in your rehearsal and you've been rehearsing for a long time, your ears give out. I was going through this thing at gigs for ages. Started off, my tone was fierce. And by the end of the night, I'm going, what's going on? It seems by the end of the night, the amp seems to be sagging or something's going on. And I went through, valves and power transformers and all this stuff, and then ended up just recording the gig, my tone was the same from the start to finish. It's my ears. By the end of, doing Aussie gigs, where we used to call them Aussie rules, where it was like, 3 1-hour sets at least. And by the end of that, in a loud rock band, your ears are said, thank you, I'm out. So in situations like that, it can be helpful just to record yourself so that you can objectively look back on what you played, because don't forget, the experience of playing when you're in that moment is very different than sat back listening.
Yeah. And as you said, maybe the keyboard player fired up.
Yeah.
With just right in your frequency band.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, if you find that happening, Michael, turn the gain down, the volume up.
Yeah.
And that will make you much more audible. Nice to hear from you, buddy.
Yeah, yes, mate.
Executioner's Bong. I think this is a first from you, unless you've changed your name. Says, hello, Toes. For my 40th birthday, I treated myself to a 65 Super Reverb reissue.
Lovely.
I'm absolutely loving it wet dry with my AC15.
Yeah, magic.
Any tips on how to mic the Super? Thank you so much for the knowledge and joy.
Well, the Super being a 410, so Mick is the expert with mics. I've only ever stuck a, SM57 sort of just off center and then worked with it, and it was fine.
Boom.
Right.
Yeah, depends on the mic. If you SM57, Sennheiser, whatever they are, the little ones that we used to use. Oh God, the little square ones. I'm doing a U this week, Dan.
Thank you. Thank you.
916. No.
E916?
E906.
906, there you go.
Maybe. Yeah, because there's a 906 and a 609, and the 906 is the one with the switches on. Yes, E906, sorry. Very common.
Yeah, they're very good.
Live mic alongside an SM57. Either of those, you want it just off the centre of the speaker. And depending on what effect you're going for, usually a couple of inches off the grill to get good bass response. Too close and you get something called the proximity effect. That's why if you point an SM57 straight at a speaker and it's too close, you get this real bass boom. That's one of the reasons you see them angled in, so you make the proximity effect less. If it's a ribbon, if it's like a Royer R121, or we use the Sontronics Delta 2 ribbons, you want it right literally in the middle of the speaker, like facing the cone, the dust cap. And about a foot away, I always like. If you're loud, if you're a bit quieter, then you go a bit closer. But the other cool thing to do with the Super is, if you're only micing the Super, is put two different mics either on the same speaker or on two different speakers, and then when you come to do your post-production, you can mix them, and that radically changes the mid-range response. Not possible in a live situation, so I don't know if you're talking about live or recording, but in recording, that's always what I would do. So then you can just get that mid sat where you want it. Live, the engineer's going to know what to do. 57 or a 906, just off the centre of the speaker. That'll sound great.
Yeah, beautiful.
Also, one final tip: listen to all four speakers.
Yeah.
In our old one, there was one speaker that sounded better than all the others to my ear anyway. Just sounded more together, a more kind of consistent frequency response rather than being overly bassy, overly trebly, or indeed rattling. So yeah, listen to all the speakers if you've got enough life to do it, because I totally appreciate that some people just don't.
Yeah.
It's like, stick the mic in, play the gig, have fun, stop worrying about it.
Yeah.
The older I get, the more I'm getting like that. But yeah, good luck.
Yeah. It's 668 people on at the moment.
Wow.
Neighbour of the beast.
2 doors down from the beast, isn't it?
Neighbour of the beast.
Yeah.
666, 668.
Oh,
Right
of course, yeah.
Right next door.
Yeah. Odds and evens. Wonder where that tradition started. I suppose it makes sense, because then you don't go like down to 500.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
For the postman.
Yes, okay.
Post person. Post being. or non-being.
Lots of people saying how wonderful Greg Koch was on the show last week.
Wasn't he just?
Yeah. We love Greg, and any opportunity to get to hang out with him is just feels great to laugh sometimes. You know, I love him as a player. I love hearing him loud with the band, and he really embraces it. He knows how to play loud, which is beautiful. But sometimes just hanging around people that make you laugh, it's always worth it. Always. And just Greg he has a direct line to my funny bone, that guy.
I think everyone's, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's just magic. Yeah, it was really, really lovely.
Chris Smith, who we went to David Gilmour with, says sound engineers. David Gilmour's sound engineer deserved a spot on the stage for the final bow. Outstanding sound and mixing at the Royal Albert Hall. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Even Paul Stacey said it was good.
Yeah.
Which is
the
highly
highest praise.
Unheard of.
Yeah, because I've been to the Albert Hall quite a lot. Sorry, the Royal Albert Hall. If I don't say that right, they'll give me a 20 grand fine.
Albert's
Hall. And I've seen loads of gigs there. That is easily one of the best mixes I heard there. Yeah, really, really wonderful.
Yeah,
but
I've been lucky. I've never had a bad sound in the Albert Hall.
Right,
always sounded good in there for people that I've seen.
Right.
Yeah. Groovy. Moving along would be Tony Cervello. Hi, Tony, or Cervello, or Cervello. Apologies if we've said that wrong. Nice to hear from you, Tony. He says, D&M, I have both versions of the Harmonious Monk on my board, and I love them both. I find that on V2, the speed knob, once the speed knob gets past 10 or 12 o'clock, it becomes a bit too intense. Do you find this too? V1 isn't like this. The relative position of the speed is different. I think one of the reasons is Yanis was very interested in getting some more intense. If you put it right up there and use the reverse sawtooth, you can get almost into ring mod territory.
Yeah.
And so for that kind of weirdy-beardy, more experimental stuff, because another thing that Jam discovered was that there's quite a few keys players buying it. And they were interested in all those sounds. So all the sounds you love are still there, but in the lower reaches of the knob. And then further round, it's for the kind of more wacky type effects, with apologies for the use of the word wacky.
Don't apologise for wacky. Wacky races.
I don't know. It's No, I meant because to people who use those sounds, they're not wacky. They're just cool sounds.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
They're great.
So that's why. I hope that explains it. You should also find the V2 has slightly more headroom as well. We found that V1, if you really, really slam it with a preamp or something, it can overdrive a bit, which is a really, really cool sound. But they wanted to put a bit more headroom in V2 to account for that. Hitting it with normal overdrive pedals, you won't really be noticing that. But
no.
Yeah. I flipping love that pedal.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I flipping love it.
Yep. It's amazing.
Steve Mass. Hello, Steve. He says, the best amp show, that's where we looked at a 65 Deluxe Reverb and said it was the best amp in the world, reminded me of my first real amp, a Twin. Too clean and too loud. A big muff to help with the heavy rock, but smoke on the water through a muff and a Twin. Not exactly Richie Blackmore.
Richie Gilmour.
Yeah.
Nice.
They're very many and varied twins, of course. The mid-60s type ones, black panel, 85 watts, I think. Those you can use almost like a deluxe reverb. Obviously, they're louder, considerably so, but you can use them almost like a deluxe reverb, and they do overdrive quite nicely when you turn them up. And then as late 60s through the 70s and just before the red knob twin, they were brutally loud and brutally clean.
Which ones did you have?
I had the brutally loud, brutally clean ones.
I still wasn't loud enough for you.
They were. I kept breaking them, and I didn't know at that point you could get them fixed. So 3, I think.
Right.
And probably just the bias set wrong. I was only bloody 15 or 16 or whatever I was. I didn't know. So I'd sell them to some unsuspecting next purchaser.
And then get another one.
And then get another one. And then when I got fed up with that, I bought Mark III Boogie.
Yeah. And that did you for
Years.
Years and years, yeah.
Dan
Yes, mate.
says the great Dell.
Hey, great Del. It was indeed great.
How did you feel after the first compliment about your builds? That's pedalboard builds, not house builds. From someone you admire. Joey Landreth told me he loves the pedal I built him, and I freaked out. It's 2 valve EP preamps in one box. So yeah, can you remember the first significant comment you got about one of your board builds? Coffee now, Greg.
Before I did Ed O'Brien's for the first rig that I did for him, I'd done loads of rigs up to that point. Because Radiohead was such a big thing for me, and because what we were able to do took him back to recording those early albums, and we were able to do in analog what he was doing sort of post with some of his guitar sounds, which he loved. And that was a moment when he was, you know, we've had him on the show. I reckon we are going to have Ed back on the show. He's working on his next solo album at the moment. Once he's done that, Ed's going to come back in and we're going to go through the rigs. So some of the sounds he's getting now will blow your mind. But that, I'll never forget that. But it's not a but, it's an and. It was wonderful to hit that level and go, okay, this is great. And lots of things happened from there. Going back before that, though, was also working with like Steve Rothery and doing some stuff for him. Now he'd bought switches off us, and then getting to see him use those live. These are all really, really wonderful things. The most important thing to me, though, was how I felt about it, as opposed to I'd gotten to a point where I'd known enough to be very comfortable within myself to know what we were doing was good work. And as wonderful as having people say that was really good work, it was the best thing for me was being at a point where it's like I knew it was good work, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And if you know your stuff is good, having the people tell you how wonderful it's fantastic. The problem comes if you get someone to say, hey, that's crap. And then if you are as deflated by that comment as you are elevated by the comments that give you praise, you've got to be careful of that. If someone says it's crap, but it's not.
Same
that's
as
the
YouTube
important
comments.
Thing. Yeah, that's
exactly the same as YouTube comments.
That's the really important thing.
You can't be in it for the praise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So know that your stuff is good, and absolutely enjoy the moment and say, hey, this is wonderful. Joey knows his stuff, man. He really knows his stuff. Yeah. If Joey says it's good, it's good. And enjoy it. It's really, really wonderful.
Nice one. Ryan Sittler. Hello, Ryan. Ryan says, I need a Vox amp with an effects loop. Should I buy a current production AC30 head, a Victory VC35, a Bad Cat Black Cat, or a Bad Cat Club? Thank you. Cub.
It's really easy. Of all those amps you mentioned, there's only one Vox. They all have Voxy things going on, but of all those things, there's only one Vox amp. And they are the only amps that sound like Vox amps. If you want an AC30 with an effects loop, buy an AC30 with an effects loop. The new AC30, they sound fantastic. We have the AC15. It's a killer sounding amplifier.
I think they're good amps. I think they're really, really, really good amps.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, and they sound like Voxes.
They sound like Voxes, and they're the only ones that do. Because all the other ones, of course, they sound like their own thing. They've changed things to say, I like it a bit tighter, and I like a bit more headroom, whatever it is. If the sound you're after is a Vox thing, whenever I'm after a Vox thing, I don't pull out the mattress. I pull out the old AC30 because
100%.
it's different.
If you want more gain, definitely think about the Victory.
Yes.
Considerably more gain if you like that kind of thing. The Bad Cats, the new Bad Cats, we haven't heard. We have come close to getting one a couple of times and it just hasn't quite worked out. Usually, mainly down to me being unable to organise anything. But Bad Cats changed owners a couple times over the years, and I'm given to understand that the current owner, who's been there maybe for a couple of years now, is doing really good things. I have heard that.
Yeah.
There was a Bad Cat amp I heard many, many years ago that I was totally in love with.
Right.
A 50 watt EL84 amp that was just magic.
Well, the amps that Stephen Wilson used when I was, setting up his rigs, they were astonishing. He's like 50 watt and 100 watt Bad Cats. Just brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like all of these things, maybe you go through a change of ownership or something changes and the amps change massively. A lot of the kudos of the brand remains, but the amps are not the same at all. I'll repeat, I'm given to understand that the current Bad Cat owners are doing a fantastic job of making really good amps. So we really should try one.
Yeah.
But what he said, if you want a Vox, get a Vox.
Yeah.
Because anyone else is going to try and change it, and it is then something different, which might be valid, but it's not a Vox.
Yeah. If you want it, the point is, don't buy a Bad Cat hoping that it's going to be a Vox.
Yeah.
Buy a Bad Cat because you want the Bad Cat sound.
Yeah. Dylan Croft, hello Dylan. Sorry if this has been told before, but what is that pedal show pedal facing the camera in the centre of the background? That is a light, and it was built for us by somebody who I'm very sorry to say I can't remember the name of.
Yeah, I can't. Years and years ago.
And he built 3. There's this one, which I should turn it on because I've forgotten to turn it on.
On the 4th day.
It's just a light.
Does it?
Yeah, it doesn't do anything except obviously the switch turns the light on and off. And that's one of these is brightness.
There you go. There you go.
So that's what that's for. And then there is a camo one.
Right.
And there's a black one somewhere as well. There.
Yeah, brilliant.
And somebody made them for us very kindly. So that's what they are.
We do have some very awesome... I don't like to use the word fans, but I don't know any other word that would...
Community.
Give me with the most awesome people in our community, including you all. But what's the name of the gentleman that made us these?
I don't know.
So,
sorry, it sounds very arrogant to say I don't know, but I don't know because I can't retain.
These were done years ago. But
I can't
check these out.
Remember every name ever.
Check these out.
Those are very small cows, Ted.
That's a small cow. That one's far away. Look at that. Isn't that amazing?
Oh, flipping heck. Richard Henry has got a 62 collector grade Sonic Blue.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Over Sunburst. So it's obviously a Fender or a Selma refin, probably Fender one. And if I had won the dear old lottery, I don't do the lottery, but if by some amazing turn of events I'd won the lottery, I would buy that guitar tomorrow.
Mick, you met me. You have won the lottery. What are you talking about?
In which case, can you go and pick the guitar up and pay the man the money, please? There we go. Hopefully that explains that, Dylan. Thank you for your question. Alex241. Hi, Alex. He says, no gear question, but as I won't be able to attend class today, would one of you please move my clothes to the lower peg? Thanks and cheers from upstate New York. For anyone who doesn't get it, it's a Monty Python gag from the movie The Meaning of Life, which should be required viewing for all humans.
Indeed. That's great.
When you get to school, at an appropriate age, like about 9, they should sit you down and go, watch this. This is how the world works.
Let's start with a kiss.
Oh shit, it's Mr. Creosote.
Mr. Creosote.
Thomas Eichinger. Hello, Thomas. Good to hear from you as always. He said, hello, D&M. I've had very bad pneumonia the last 2 weeks.
Oh, no. Have you ever had pneumonia? It's awful.
No.
It is really, really... I had it in Australia once when I was younger. Man alive. It's terrible. Anyway, please carry on.
Yeah. Well, we hope you're not feeling too bad, Thomas. He says, since all the laughing on last Friday's show with Greg Koch, I feel much better
there
again.
you go.
Thank you. No question today. Please feel free to take one from the chat. We will. Wishing you better times ahead, Thomas. So hopefully you'll get over that and be back to speed.
Yes. Oh, Magic Man says, have you guys played any of the B-Tronics pedals? Yes, we have. And flipping wonderful things they are as well. So I remember meeting those guys at NAMM for the first time, and they were very enthusiastic and very passionate about what they're doing. And they'd done some fuzzers and stuff like 30 other pedal companies around them at the time, but there was something about them that was, they had a little something extra. And then as the years have gone on, the amount of creativity that they put into these truly stellar sounding
You've got to see
pedals.
those circuit boards. They're crazy.
Yeah.
Properly bonkers.
It's so really stellar sounding effects from passionate people, but the level of creativity in them is amazing.
That's
So-
too complex to take apart, that one.
Yeah, but yeah, wonderful, really, really wonderful stuff. Very, very clever.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're good pedals. Oh no, they use little Allen bolts.
Oh yes,
I've
right.
forgotten, so I can't.
But basically, the
just take it back
circuit
off
boards
them.
are in the shape of insects.
Yes,
You know, bees and
quite often bees.
yes, are bees insects?
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
got to be, haven't they?
Good to know.
Thorax, abdomen, 6 legs.
Yeah, that's an insect, is it? All right.
Don't know. Is it any? What's the word for? Anyway,
Gordon Rankin says the tuner fuzz is really pretty good, which is high praise coming from a very good designer. So there you go. Yes, they sent me a message recently. I'll need to get back to them. But yeah, they do really great stuff. Wes Chilton says bees are dinosaurs. There we go. Christmas says tempted to buy a B-Tronics pedal just for the looks alone. Yeah, their design is incredible. Yes, bees are insects, entomologists.
oh, thank you, thank you for that. Gaz Podmore, hey Gaz, how are you? Nice to hear from you,
Nice
buddy.
to hear from you guys.
He says, hope you guys are all well. Got my first big boy amp, a Fender Princeton Reverb in British Racing Green with the Celestion G1265.
Yes.
It's glorious.
Yeah.
Any
Lovely.
must-have pedals to match with the Princeton?
Oh. Harmonious Monk, for one. Being completely serious, a harmonic trem into that amplifier is otherworldly. There's something about, we've been talking about this, about the magic of a 6v6 power amp done, designed properly. And in the Princeton, like I'm using the 1x10 Princeton that we have here at the moment, and I'm just in love with the sound of that amplifier and the way it breaks up when you push into it. It has headroom and yet character. The reverb is stunning, but yeah, I love the way it works with modulation. So, make sure you've got an arsenal of modulation effects. But yeah.
As far as boosts and overdrive goes, depends how loud you run it. So Princeton will start to break up quite early. Similar to the Deluxe, depends on your particular Princeton. It might be at 3, it might be at 5, depending on how that particular amp is set up. If you're running it overdriven, you don't want to be putting a full range overdrive into it, because actually a 12-inch speaker might improve things a bit. The 10-inch speaker one flubs out really quick because it also puts out a tremendous amount of bass, which is why a lot of people really like Princetons at low volume, because they do put out a huge amount of bass, way more than the Deluxe Reverb, in my opinion. or at least more in comparison to the amount of mids and treble it's putting out. At low level, if you're running it clean, anything you like, but the more you push it, the more you want to get a boost that tightens up that bottom end instead of putting in something really basic, because it will just fart out. So I would just bear that in mind when looking at overdrives and boosts. I rather suspect a Marshall Blues Breaker would work jolly well.
Ah. Push it. No.
Or anything of that ilk. There's a show coming up this Friday where, on Blues Breaker or Blues Driver, and Dan and I had never really had an original Blues Breaker before, the Marshall pedal, you know. And it was a revelation.
Yeah.
Absolute revelation. In a bit like in a similar vein to what the Tube Screamer does with the bottom end, it doesn't overdrive it so much. It's a really great pedal to use with amps that flub out a bit in the bottom end. And yeah, total straight on my pedal board.
Straight in the pool room.
It's never coming off until it comes off.
There you go.
Yeah.
Love that. Very good.
So there
we're
we go.
now at 777 viewers. I had a Gem 777. It was, I remember, I went to buy the guitar, and they had a black one, so I put the deposit on it, and because before that I'd had a hot pink Fender, the HM Strat.
Of course you did.
And the guy said, listen, your guitar is just, we go on stage, the only thing anyone can see is your guitar. So don't worry, guys, the next guitar is black. I'd put deposit on it, saved up the money, went back to pick it up, and they said, oh, sorry, Dan, we had to sell that guitar, but we've got you another one here. And it was desert yellow.
Yeah.
It was the brightest, the most fluorescent yellow you've ever seen.
Well,
so I turned up to the gig, say, got my new guitar, guys, and I opened up the case, and everyone's like, ah!
I have the opposite story. I ordered an RG550 in desert yellow, and they couldn't get them, so I had a black one instead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, kept that for 2 weeks.
So,
Let's have a bit more housekeeping, shall we? Patrons. The October giveaway. So if you're a patron of That Pedal Show via patreon.com, That Pedal Show, all active patrons will get a link this week for October's giveaway, which is this rather splendid sounding Jackson Audio Cross Silvertone Twin 12.
really great sounding pedal, that.
Really great sounding overdrivey boost thing. Thanks to them for enabling us to pass it forward. So that will be this month's SOS. That will be this month's patron giveaway. And yeah, this is ace. This is ace. Where's my phone?
Right.
Jordan.
The person or the river?
The basketball player.
Right.
One of our lovely patrons, Jordan, was invited to the private screening of Spinal Tap 2.
No.
True story. Harry was there.
Harry Shearer.
Christopher was there, and Michael McKean was there.
Oh, stop it!
Anyway, Jordan remembered that we'd bumped into Michael McKean
Right.
in London that day and
Yeah.
got a picture.
No way.
So here's Jordan meeting Michael McKean with his That Pedal Show Fuzz t-shirt on.
Oh my goodness. Oh, how lovely. And just to say, Mr. McKean, what a lovely human. Took the time to stop and have a chat and have a picture taken with us. I don't know if you know, but his wife is an actress.
I do.
And she was...
I recognise them.
Yeah. So she was in the series Superman. She played Clark Kent's mum,
Right.
I think. But I've seen her in loads of things. But she was lovely, and she took the photo for us, and yeah. That was a magic day.
Was that a recent Superman series?
No, it was quite...
Because there's been 3 or 4, haven't there,
Yeah,
over the years?
yeah. It's Smallville, it was.
Right.
Yeah.
So yes, thank you very much for sending that to us, Jordan. gave us a nice smile.
Yeah,
okay,
lovely,
on we go. Adam Dobbs, hello Adam. Adam says, new guitar day for my birthday. Happy birthday. A Nash S63 on sale on Reverb.
Yes.
And someone had rewired it, so I got an extra $150 off. Sounds great, just need to wire it back again.
Yes.
Dan, when are Humdingers available again, please?
Humdingers should be available. I just tested a bunch, so they should be available. If not, they'll only be a couple of days away. But yes, if they're not there now, literally tomorrow or the following day, they'll be shipping. Someone asked about Quartermasters as well, and they're also shipping. Just had a delay on some metal work, as is the way. As is the way of manufacturing.
Interesting to know what you want to do with the wiring on the Nash, Adam. I keep... It's funny. So before I got the 61 Strat, on Blue and any new Strat, I would always have the bridge pickup wired to the tone control. Because bridge pickup can sound a bit wiry, as we know, with Strats. So it's quite good to have it on the tone control. Even when the tone control's up full, it has quite a significant effect. So it just takes away some of that. The 61 obviously doesn't have the bridge pickup on the tone control because it's original spec. And
sorry, best sounding bridge pickup in Australia I've ever heard.
Yeah, and it really does sound spectacular. But what I keep meaning to do is disconnect the neck
tone
control as well. Matt Schofield does this, and it just gives this crispness and sort of bell-like character to the neck pickup, where sometimes it can be a little bit dark and muddy. So try it if you're interested in that.
I love Nash guitars. I've never played a Nash guitar that wasn't so comfortable and lovely to play. He knows how to do it. He really does.
He knows how to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people that like to use the neck pickup and turn the tone control down to get a bit of sort of pseudo jazz tone, but I think that's a shame on a Strat. But you know, if it's what you do, it's what you do. But try it. Do try it with the tone control disconnected on that neck pickup. Gilmour's Strat sounded... Well, there's a couple of Strats, I think, but obviously whatever the black one was he was playing, probably not the black one, was it?
That's been sold. Yeah. Unless he got it back for these gigs. But
probably
I
not.
Don't think
so it would have been a newer one.
Yeah.
I think he's got that mod where the bridge and neck pickup are on at the same time. Because it doesn't sound like any other Strat I've ever heard.
It's on a blend that tone control, I believe, blends in either the neck or the bridge.
Yeah. Sounds very un-Strat-like to me.
Yeah.
And certainly doesn't sound anything like Another Brick in the Wall or Comfortably Numb. Yeah. I don't know what he played that on, but anyway. Doesn't sound like classic Gilmour Strat tones. Sounds much more like... Well, almost like an EMG, in fact.
Yeah. I've been dreaming about... I woke up thinking, okay, I'm going to get the high watt sorted out. I'm going to go and I've been looking at videos on which are the best filter caps for that specific one. And
there's 2 people that we've been put in touch with who can really sort it.
Okay.
So...
I'm happy to do it, but I'll just have a look, because if it's just the filter caps that are...
If it is, yeah, it could be. Anyway, whatever. Would be good to get it. And then we need to find a cab that's going to work with it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Which is a challenge.
Yeah. Well, traditionally it's the WEM cabs, isn't it? But I want to hear it through... I've got a really beautiful 2x12 that I'd love to hear it through, but yeah. The thing is, because those heads are so wide, it's wider than the Marshall 2x12.
Is it?
Yeah.
Not than the 1936, it's not, but...
Yeah, well, our Marshall 2x12 got there.
Oh, those ones, yeah.
Those ones there.
Yeah. Not the side-by-side one, it's not.
No, the side-by-side one's not, but those ones it is. And that's my favourite 2x12 cab. And it's like, I would absolutely use that with that cab, except it hangs off the edge of the cab, and it's like, no. I don't want that. It's like, you fold it, and there's a little guy in here. But I am a professional.
Daniel Maduria says, please do a Gilmour rig show. It's totally pointless without Gilmour. It really is completely pointless without Gilmour, because we've said this before and we'll say it again. Whenever we put together something like the key components of his rig, it never sounds anything like it at all.
Yeah.
It's a real interesting situation, I find, because, you know, the way he uses the muff,
yeah,
the
and all
tube
the
drivers,
EQs around it, and
EQs,
yeah, and the mistress and all that stuff,
etc., etc. Yeah, it never sounds anything like it. Would be good to hear it up close. But
well,
honestly, Guitar of the Night for me was Gold Top Les Paul.
Oh,
I thought it sounded palpably better than any of the other guitars.
it was
Maybe the Gretsch.
It was
actually.
wonderful. The tone for me with a solo I comfortably numb, because it was different than any sound he'd used previous. It was like really
It was
loud.
lovely and loud, yeah.
And I thought, there it is. The thing with that sound is you can hear everything.
Yeah, it's like
Everything. Yeah. And if it's like, if you nail it, everyone's going to know it. If you don't nail it, everyone's going to know it. But he nailed it, and it was so beautiful.
He played absolutely beautifully in that. It was like one of those flipping arms in the air moments.
Yeah. I'll never forget that. But I think that's the thing with those sounds, and it's not just the culmination of the right pedals and the right amps. It is a part of that, absolutely. But then it's having the cojones to walk out and go, this is me, and just nail it to the wall. That's the thing.
Well, Daniel, you can lean into it.
You can do it, yeah. And go.
Daniel says, let me rephrase that. Please do a Gilmour rig show and invite David Gilmour. Yeah, obviously there's an open invitation. Yeah, the situation surrounding David Gilmour is like trying to break into a prison.
Yeah.
So he's very well protected.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that we've managed, like, you know, with Noel Gallagher and Johnny Marr, and there's, you know, we've on certain levels we've managed to get there, and, you know, Ed, but then
they have to want to do it.
But they've got to want to do it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
We don't think Davey wants to do it. And that's fine.
Yeah.
If we sound in any way bad tempered, go and watch Rick Beato's video on why David Gilmour won't go on his show.
Yeah, so as you know, it would be really lovely. Todd Roy says, how good can Romany, David's daughter, sing? She's amazing. They were all amazing. There was a moment when all of them were singing, and it was just like, it was so in tune and so lovely. But Romany, she sang some tunes and she was great as part of that vocal group. Flippin' heck, man. I don't know how you rehearse up something like that. That is so... Every phrase was different. You know, they weren't coming back to a chorus. It was like they'd learnt a scat and then harmonised it. It was just astonishing. Yeah, they're all remarkable.
It was great. Big shout out to Ben Worsley as well.
Oh, man.
Who's playing guitar, and who Dan and I got to meet and say hello to. Ben, if you're watching this, killer, mate. Really, really killer.
Amazing. Well done, buddy.
He was using some rubbishy old amp as well, wasn't he?
Yeah. It's like, what will I use? I'll just use one of Dave's old high watts, and here's one of Dave's old peak Cornish boards. Just use that. Oh, man. Yeah, it's a really inspiring story, actually, from Ben. Lovely guy, and ended up on one thing leads to another, and then he's on stage touring with David Gilmour. I mean, wow, so great.
Yeah. Hola, truest heirs of Elgin Peton, says Paul Matulovic.
Nice.
What does that mean, Dan?
I don't know. I'm going to ask ChatGPT and just see what it says.
Elgin Peton. Peton sounds maybe like it might be something to do with feet.
Le petit.
I usually am a mod post-gain kind of guy, but certain specific pedals seem to sound better or simply don't work if I don't flip that order. Do you find this as well, and do you have any examples? So Paul is saying mod, let's say chorus or flanger, for example, after gain or before, and why?
Yeah, so it all goes back to gain structure. If you've got, let's take a phaser, and especially a phaser that's got lovely top end. It might be small stone. The small stone's a good example because it's very hi-fi, even more hi-fi than a phase 90. Actually, but we'll use a phase 90 for example, because the best example is when people think of phase 90 tones, they think of Eddie Van Halen. But Eddie Van Halen used his phase 90 into a distorted amplifier. So that movement and that sweep was basically phaser into gain stage. If you have your gain stages, your overdrive pedals, and then you put your phaser after, what you're not getting is that limiting. You're getting all of your gain stage is going to be going through that phaser effect, and the effect will be very dominant, as opposed to the phaser going into your gain stages, which then limits that, and so the tone of the limiting of the gain stages colors what's going on with the phaser. Same for every modulation effect. Flanger before or after, chorus before or after, they all work before or after gain stage. It just depends the sound that you want. If you're, just try it with a compressor before and after, and it'll give you a really good example of the effect that squashing down the dynamics has on the modulation. Sorry, that was very wordy.
But it was a good explanation.
There we go.
It was a good explanation.
Sorry.
Did you have a digital rant in the middle of it?
No.
No. I always find...
No, Greg Koch has ranted enough.
I pretty much always prefer the analog stuff before, and pretty much always prefer the digital stuff after.
Yeah.
For headroom reasons and other reasons, buffering and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the exception of Harmonious Monk, which always goes last for me because it's tremolo even after delay.
Yeah.
But anyway, hope that explains it, Paul. Yeah, hope that explains it. I did have one in the... No. Paul Matulovic said it was the first recorded two-legged fossil in the fossil book. The word I just used.
Oh, okay.
Which was Elginapeton.
Right.
According to... Come on, where is it? Oh, I've lost it. Anyway, apparently it was the first recorded two-legged thing in the fossil book.
Oh, cool.
There we go. As always, Paul, thank you.
Kind of describes my approach to jazz.
Peter Nash Music. Peter Nash Music. Hello, Peter. He says, just came back from a recording session from my third studio record.
Oh, mate.
Nice.
Well done.
2 rock CRS and a 59 Bassman, wet dry. G3 and an excellent blues rock session band. You also played a huge part in that, and I'll be forever grateful.
Amazing.
Nice one, Peter.
Send us, once you've got some stuff online, send us a link. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Killer, man. God, CRS and a Bassman, wet dry. That'll do.
Magic.
That'll do. Bit of noise. What's your favourite Marshall combo amp for under $1,000, says Alexander Roy.
Can you get a JCM 800 combo for under $1,000?
It's really funny with JCM 800s. Obviously, there were a number of different models. There's a 50-watt one, which was pretty cool. Wasn't one of them called the 410 or something? Or the 4010 maybe?
Right.
50-watt 1x12 combo. That was great.
I think that's the one that I had.
5 or 6 knobs on the top, maybe 5 knobs.
Yeah.
That was cool.
I think that's the one that I had, and it was just wonderful.
My favourite ones, and it really, the reason I say it's weird with JCM 800s, if you get the right 2203 head, they can be tons of money. But if you get the one that's got loads more knobs on it, they're much less money. Combos even less money because nobody seemed to want combos. They want Marshall heads. My favourite ones are the late 70s Master Volume 212 combos, if you can find one.
The J&P ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they changed a lot in that period. They even did some with Reverb, which is Ainsley's favourite amp.
No way.
It's partly what his Rift signature amp is made of, derived from. And sometimes you can pick them up for next to nothing because nobody really knows what they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, late 70s Master Volume 212, if you can find one.
I had the last of the non-Master Volume J&P 50s.
Oh, wow.
It was the amp before the Master Volume.
Yeah. Oh.
And I just thinking about it. Hurts to think about it now because I sold it for 300 quid.
Yay.
I must have been really hurting for money. But it had the best clean sound.
Yeah.
It was stunning. I've got a recording of it somewhere, and a friend of mine from Australia heard it. It's like, it's just magic.
They're lovely. They're lovely things.
Yep.
Coming forward from there, they've had a lot of stick, but actually, the DSLs. I wouldn't go with the 40 personally. I know they're really popular and loads of people love them, but too small for me personally. The DSL 50s, so when you get into EL 34s, and I don't know if they did a 100-watt combo, maybe they did. But a sleeper, if you can find one, Vintage Modern.
Oh, Vintage Moderns are excellent.
It's quite often in purple vinyl, and Paul Gilbert really liked them. And I did some Hendrix gigs many years ago, and Denny Eilert, who was in the band, actually it was his band, he had a Vintage Modern combo, and it sounded great.
Was Denny Eilert in that band?
Yeah. It just sounded great.
Okay, because I saw him at Ronnie Scott's.
He's amazing. He's properly amazing.
Far out, man.
Yeah.
So Denny Eilert does a Hendrix big band. So let me just make sure I get this right. Denny's father was quite a famous jazz arranger, and Denny does the same thing.
Yeah.
Denny has arranged for big band horns a bunch of Hendrix classics, and so it was Denny and the band, like a 20-piece horn section at Ronnie Scott's, and it was flippin' magical. All those great Hendrix rhythm parts coming in as brass stabs. Really astonishing. And Denny just absolutely nailing the Hendrix stuff to the wall. Really, really wonderful musician.
That's Denny. 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 Eilert. Ilettt. Denny Eilert. Check him out.
Yeah.
Anyway, he had a Vintage Modern combo and it sounded flipping great. And he literally just did the Jimmy thing. Just 10,
Yeah.
10.
10. Where can you go from there?
Yeah.
But see, when I saw him, he did the same thing with a Hot Rod Deluxe.
Yeah.
Just 10 across the board, and far out, man, it sounded amazing.
And you can probably get 2 or 3 of those for $1,000.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Well, you'll get at least one. Squirrel 719 says, happy 70th anniversary to the Fender Stratocaster. According to 5-Watt World, the Strat was ready for shipment on October the 13th, 70 years ago today. Yesterday.
Wow.
That's mad, isn't it? How is it possible? Now, I appreciate this one has a rosewood board, a 3-ply scratch plate. Oh, it's not there. And
is it at home?
No, it's in the other room. And
Okay.
And a 3-tone sunburst, which you definitely would not have seen in 1954.
Yes, Mick is off to get his Precious, the best Strat I've ever heard. Anyone that comes here and plays it, it is an absolute heartbreaker, that guitar.
Some people don't like it.
No, we don't like those people.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, there are definitely strattier strats. There's no doubt about that. How is it possible? How is it possible that bloody thing, in very minutely different form, emerged in 1954. Google 1954. Look what people look like. Look what cars look like. Look what just basic stuff looked like. Microwaves, toasters. Obviously there was no microwaves. Cookers, toasters, washing machines. Look what stuff looked like in 1954. Look what that looked like in 1954. How is that possible? It still is the most modern guitar, the most beautiful guitar ever made. Fight me.
Fight me! Yeah. Is that one of yours? Yeah, I love that. It's really beautiful.
I've been writing down.
Good. It's lovely to hear. Yeah. So that's interesting, right? So these
Happy
are both...
birthday, old friend.
Yeah. So these are both 61. Are you in E flat?
No. I just played it in the wrong key.
Oh, okay.
Just to annoy people. Yeah, happy birthday, old friend. I mean, you might say that certain Gibson arch tops are more beautiful. I might concede that, but no other solid body guitar is more beautiful than that.
No, I can. Yeah, or ergonomic and comfortable to play.
Yeah,
it's right when you have the Strat on. All the angles and everything feel right.
Yeah.
The Telecaster, and don't get me wrong, my body has twisted itself around the Telecaster, like a tree growing around a bicycle that was left there in World War One and still sort of halfway up the tree. That's sort of me on a Tele. But the Strat, you just put it just feels it's so comfortable and just looks the business.
Yeah. Ron Leslie says, look at Marilyn Monroe in 1954. Fair enough. Actually, surely she would have been very young in 1954. Like, too young. Oh no, she was, wow. She was born in 26.
Really?
Yeah. Right. Where are we? Peter Romano. Hello, Peter. Romano. He says, hey guys, recently got a matchless HC30.
Yes, you did.
And I want to investigate pairing it with a stock Fender 5E3 Deluxe.
Yep.
Do you think the matchless would be overpowering as a wet amp?
No, I tell you what it is. The matchless as a wet amp is a really good shout for that, and that's a combination that I used for a long time, the Lazy J20 and the matchless. It does sound wonderful. What I would recommend, both of those amps have a strong mid-range in them, and I love that. What happened for me though was the bass coupling between the two was a little bit too much, and it's a very loud pairing. The matchless is a loud amp by itself, as is the 5E3. What I found was actually pairing the matchless with a Princeton, and it's a different EQ curve, so the coupling isn't as brutal, and you get this wonderful mixing of those two tones, but they don't get in the way of each other. I think for me, the tweed thing and the matchless thing, they fight a little bit too much. It can be a really cool thing. At volume, it's very cool, but it's hard to get those two amps together to a volume that works. But the Princeton and the matchless for me is just the best thing. Or to go louder, something, a louder, more headroom, and use that as the wet amp and the matchless as the dry amp. I'm sort of experimenting with the idea of going back to the Hampstead for the wet amp and using the matchless as the dry amp, or the you know, the high watts blowing my mind at the moment after seeing David Gilmour. But there is, depending on what the volume you play, the Mattress is a great wet amp. It takes effects so brilliantly. And then, you know, mess around with the pairing. I hope that makes sense.
Enjoy. It's quite the thing when Dan demonstrates it in here on the experience days. To reiterate what he just said, the HC30 does in some ways overpower the Princeton in terms of its all that. But when you turn the Princeton off, it's just a world of difference, isn't it?
Yeah,
like the Princeton's doing the most fantastic job. And I think it will be the same with the Deluxe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really cool, man. Really cool. Hope you enjoy that. Jim B. Hello, Jim B.
Hey, Jim B.
I have a lot of gear that needs repair, but I keep buying more stuff. Am I insane? Does this happen to you? Thanks. Love my TPS gear. Yes, we're all insane. That's just the nature of humans. And if you're under the misinterpretation, the impression that we are not insane, just look at all the utterly irrational things all humans do all the time. One of the big problems, a big philosophical question, and I forget the philosopher. What the hell is wrong with my words today? Maybe I'm having a brain hemorrhage or something.
Maybe a stroke.
Yeah, maybe I am.
Okay.
If I hit the deck...
I'm watching your face. Make sure that...
Yeah, I do need to make a will, actually.
I'll have the 345.
It's all going to Catherine.
Ah, dude. You gotta leave me something.
She can make decisions. Well, she'll have to sell it to pay for bloody dog food. It was a huge philosophical, and I can't remember the philosopher's name, and it's going to do my head in. But the assumption that people are rational is just so wrong.
Right.
So yes, you are insane, and we all are, and that's the nature of humans. But does this happen to you? Yes, it does. Right. Here are the amps in the TPS studio that are currently sick and need fixing. This one.
That one.
This one.
Yep.
This one.
Yep.
This one.
Yep.
And this one.
Yep.
And it's half the reason they're on the back shelf, so we don't have to keep moving them. They're all significantly sick and they all need fixing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I've been, I loved the sound that we got with when we had Graham Coxon in and the Hampstead, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm going to start looking at that again, because there's a certain thing, the clean thing that you get with the EL34s that you don't get with any other amplifier, and the Hampstead's got it and the High Watt's got it, and I don't know, there's something about them that I really dig. They're closest, they're like a high-powered EL84. You know what I mean? There's something in the breakup of them that I really dig.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it could be good. Just my only issue is how loud it can possibly get, which is a good thing. What I find, so when we do experience days, you know, Mick has his rig and I have mine. I do mine. I love the sound of it. The problem that I've got is my sound is set up so that the amps are sort of on the edge, they're breaking up, and it's really beautiful, but it's hard to get any louder should I need to. Whereas the Two-Rock CRS, it is so beautiful, and you can just go. It's like, it just doesn't run out of headroom.
It seems not to.
It's the most amazing thing. And that's what I miss. So I'm thinking that maybe with the Hampstead, I'd get a bit more of that going. But I'm gonna have a play, because I have my first rehearsals on Wednesday.
Oh, wicked!
Yeah,
with Doug, and have you found a bass player?
Yeah. So it's Doug and Mark.
Oh, Mark's going to do it. Wicked.
And it's Dave Gregory doesn't really want to play live anymore. So, but we're going to do a new thing, a new original thing.
Good for you, man.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
So
that's really awesome. I'm chuffed for you.
Thank you.
It's good to play.
I'm excited about it.
Now then, BV tells us it was Kant, the philosopher. G. Barge is saying Hume as well, and also Jonathan Haidt. It's obviously a recurring theme in philosophy. Kant is a good shout, BV. Thank you for that.
Pretty. No, come on. Come on. Come see me. Come on. Quick. Come on.
Oh, it's Rosie. Hello, Rose. How you doing? Okay, baby dog. Are you going to come up here, or are you?
Yes.
Hello. Can
There
I have
she is.
Can I have my cuddle?
There
A couple
she
of days, a couple of times a day, Rosie comes to find me, and I get a little cuddle, and it's very lovely. It's very lovely, Rosie. Thank you. Yeah. She's had a cut recently, so she looks very smart. Do you want to show the people how smart you look, Rose? That's right. You want to sit there? She doesn't really like sitting on my lap. She sits on Catherine's lap and on Dan's lap, but she doesn't like sitting on my lap.
Rosie, hi. Hi.
There she is. There she is. Good girl, aren't you? Oh, good girl. Yeah. Lovely dog. Lovely dog. Okay, down you go.
Good girl. Good girl.
Oh, yeah, don't read that. She's like, where's my bloody biscuits? I know. Sorry, I said the word.
Hey, come on. Come on.
Last super chat tonight is from Jeff Harper. Hello, Jeff. Jeff says, hey guys, I have a Vox AC15
Yep.
C that has a new spring tank, a new spring reverb tank. But I still have to turn it up to 12 or more, which I guess you mean straight up, midday, to notice it in terms of the reverb level. Any ideas? Yes, a couple. If the tank is new, then we can hopefully rule that out. You can, if you're really not sure, it's very easy to test it with a multimeter just to make sure it is passing signal in the way it should be. Lots of videos online to show you how to do that. Now, I don't know what the driver and recovery circuit is in the AC15. Probably an IC, isn't it? I would have thought.
Yeah.
Like in some amps, it's a tube.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what it is in the AC15. If it is a tube, replace that tube. Possibly. But before you get into any of that, turn the gain up. Because sometimes it can be as simple as you're just not sending enough level to it. And in a lot of amps, the master volume has quite a significant effect on this as well. Don't ask me why, I don't know. Dan might, you might out there in the world. I find that as I turn my amps up more, the reverb level gets more. Now, that might be because it's more perceptible because it's louder, but I think it's more like it's the reverb itself is getting more signal. The 2-rock, my big 2-rock especially, once you start cranking it, the reverb gets way overboard and you need to turn it down. Yeah. So send a bit more signal to that reverb tank, either by turning up the preamp gain or the master or both, and see if that makes a difference. Yep. Any advances?
It's a solid state gain stage going to the tank. So, and there are some mods that you can do. So I'm not sure if you replace the reverb or if you've got an amp tech that replace the reverb, but there are some mods that you can do at gain stage to change the amount of signal that you're sending it. Lots of people were complaining that it was too much. So if Common Mod is changing there's a single resistor on there, 820k to 330k, which shortens the dwell to normal levels. Also, the reverb level control has more usable range on the top boost channel. So you might find that depending on which channel you use, the reverb sounds different in either channel. So check that out. But it should be very doable to get that sorted.
Dog's going to bark any second, just so you know. So I'm just warning you.
This is the limiter test.
She's looking at me with "I'm going to bark any second" eyes, aren't you, Rosie Boobies? Yes. Yeah, try all those things, Jeff. Hopefully it'll work.
Hey, come on then. Come on up. Hi.
Good. That
come on.
Be the super chats. Let's dive into the.
Come on. Come on. Good
let's dive into the
Good girl.
chat just for a second to have a look at what's going on there.
Can you say hello to the people? Can you say hello to the people?
XH3NR1K says dogs just might be the one thing better than guitars and gear. I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, completely. Oh, good girl.
I wholeheartedly agree. You are a marvel of science and not science, creation, Rosie.
Yeah.
I mean, how did it occur that dogs would be so flipping brilliant?
Yeah.
How is it?
If you haven't noticed, Mick and I both, we love dogs, and
I love dogs.
yep, I love dogs.
Come on, Rose, on the table. Good girl.
Good girl.
Then the people can see you, hopefully.
Not
And they-
a little bit.
You want to look at the camera?
A little bit.
You want to look at the camera? She's like, no, I don't. What I'd rather have is some biscuits.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Wes Chilton says it's tube driven on the AC15. It might depend, Wes, what kind of AC15 it is.
Yeah.
So it might be that the hand-wired one has tube. Actually, I don't think the hand-wired one has reverb. Anyway, could be it's different for different models down the years. She needs her own chair, says KC Cole. She has every flipping chair in the house. Rosie getting her own seat at the table is the stuff of legends. Yeah, you are a spoiled dog, aren't you, Rosie? Camus, says Admar Hermans. Yeah, it could have been. Albert Camus, was it? He was a sort of forerunner in existentialism.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I believe. I read quite a lot of his stuff, or at least I read a breakdown of it. Anyway, right, you go away. Oh, why are you doing that? Sorry, we'll get back to the guitars. George, oh, sorry, this is a guitar and Rosie question. George Scully says, do you have any issues when you first got Rosie with her seeing guitars as particularly desirable bits of wood for investigating with her teeth? I made sure at home guitars were always away when she was a puppy, and she thankfully wasn't really a chewer of things. She has soft toys and stuff, but she wasn't really a chewer of things, so that was good. I do know friends who have lost sofas and all kinds of things. She did chew a skirting board once, and we put some chili on it.
Oh.
And she never did it again.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah. Eames YDT, YMES YDT says, are you planning on checking out the new Fractal VP4? No amps, just a multi-effects unit designed to compete with the H90. Yeah, that sounds interesting. Dan and I... Who came in here with an H90 just recently? Ariel.
Yes.
And he used it for a few things, and H9s are obviously on boards everywhere, and loads of people use them, and they're great. By the evidence for which is the fact that loads of people use them, right? Dan and I tend to not be into digital multi-effects of any kind. Because, in my case anyway, Dan, I don't know if you agree, a digital multi-effects does 10,000 things. Maybe 1 million. Maybe a number bigger than 1 million. And who could imagine that?
1,000,007.
£1 million pound.
$1 million.
And with anything like that, I always end up using maybe 2 or 3 things, just from a purely personal standpoint, right? So I might use a rotary speaker, or I don't know, whatever. At which point I go, I have got a rotary speaker pedal that sounds infinitely better than this, not just a little bit, to my ears personally. Therefore, I'm going to use that. Repeat. Now, if you use 20 things in a digital multi-effect and you can't fit them on your board because you're getting on aeroplanes and all kinds of stuff like that, and it makes sense, of course, that's why they're on so many boards, and that's why a lot of people use them. But just purely from a personal perspective, I have no requirement for that.
Yeah.
The
Requirement, so that's the word, right?
Yeah.
It's, we live in a golden age of effects, and if you're touring and weight is an issue and you've got, I remember when we did, there's a wonderful guitar player called Mark Moore who used to play for loads of people, loads of pop stars in the UK. He did Mika, and he did Kylie, and he did...
Oh, wow, okay.
He did loads of them. But I remember in this one artist I saw him with, and there was like 4 modulation sounds for the whole gig, and each lasted 3 bars.
Yeah.
And so he had a Mobius. And it's like, well, it does, for what I need, I can get that all, muted up, and it's perfect. But of course, if, like for me, flanger is a really important effect for me. I don't need a thing that does 700 different flanges. I need the one flanger that works for me, and the one phaser, and the one vibrato. Yeah. You know what I mean? And because those sounds, I require those sounds to be, I use them a lot, and I need to connect with them. So I'm not going to compromise on that. But there are things where I can, like when we're doing, Owner of a Lonely Heart. I was doing the solo with the fifths. Yeah, so I was using the H9 to do the harmony thing. And it was great. It was wet dry. Worked really well.
I'm trying to remember that pick part. It took me ages to learn that.
That was so much fun to do. So for that, the H9 was an obvious thing.
Perfect. Yeah.
So it just, we're not, the idea that we're anti-digital, we're not, but what we're not into is compromise.
I'm anti-rubbish sound.
There we go. And that's it. We are anti-rubbish sound. That's it. If you can make it sound great, that's wonderful.
Yeah. And to just round all that off, we're not the right guys for that.
Yeah.
Because our knowledge isn't like good enough, and we don't have knowledge of all the stuff to a level which would make it make any sense. What I would say about that is just go and count up the number of YouTube channels that you can hear a loud mic'd amp. It is precious few. Precious few. So that's our thing. And if you like that, come to us. If you like the other thing, go to someone else. Who knows it better?
Chris Smith says, David Gilmour had his Yamaha RA200 rotary speaker on the stage in the mix. There is no good digital replica of that thing.
100%.
And
or analog.
we proved that with our first rotary show. We had all the rotary things, and they sounded great. Then we plugged into a Leslie, and it was like, oh, that's ridiculous, because it fills the space in a very physical, very real way. It was astonishing.
Yeah. He is Davey G, mind.
Yeah, but that's when we did the show with the Leslie, and we're both like, it was crazy, the difference.
Yeah.
Because it's
3D. It's aesthetic, and not just aesthetic in a visual sense. We say this at experience days, people are often surprised at the sort of oral sonic visual assault that you get when you come into this room. We're all fairly happy that there are 5 senses that we're aware of. And when you watch a video on YouTube, you've got largely 2 of them in operation, your sight and your hearing. I actually think, and I'm sure there's people far further along than me in this, I expect there's plenty of research and doctorates written and all the rest of it, that there aren't 5 senses. There's like 5,000 senses of ways that you can have a sensory experience of something. And that just doesn't exist when you watch a video on YouTube. So the physical presence of sound is so much more than what hits your ears. Facetiously, I've often said smell is a big part. Well, it bloody well is. It really is. If you're smelling something disgusting while you're hearing an incredible sound, you won't like it as much.
Yeah, right.
And it's all part of the way the human thing works, he said, entirely unscientifically.
Frankie Holt says, you can feel a real Leslie in your yam pouch. So true.
That's the thing John Smith showed me.
Right.
Try this, everyone. Hammer on at the 7th fret on the D, G and B strings. Let the harmonics sing out. Hammer on an A minor 7 chord. And you get the harmonic. You might be able to hear it on this because it's acoustic.
Oh, beautiful.
Nice, isn't it?
Wow.
So in this writing I'm doing, instead of writing just songs, there's recurring themes of melodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the turnarounds that recurs in is kind of something like this. So if the song's in E, for example,
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
equally in the
Yeah,
so
man.
between the pieces, and then so that right. I know this bass won't be anywhere near in tune. So that on the guitar it went that right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It'll fade off into a massive reverb,
Right.
and then the bass will give it. Full on Jeff Buckley madness.
Awesome.
I love it.
Lovely.
Interludes.
Interludes.
Interludes of bass guitar. Just that will sound alarming. It's nowhere near as bad in real life. Anyway, sorry, that was a massive tangent.
It's all right. Tangent away.
It's nice.
Tangent away,
It's
my
nice
friend.
to feel enthusiastic about it again.
That's lovely. It's lovely to hear you enthusiastic. K Cole says the smell of a hot tube amp is a beautiful thing. Oh man, I remember being in NAMM and going to see. If you're ever in NAMM, there's amazing things happening every night, and I got invited to go and see the Dirty. What are they called? It was Tom Petty's band.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah. What's the guitar player?
Mike Campbell.
Mike Campbell, his band, the Dirty something. Anyway, walking to this little club and you could smell the amps, and it was like, oh, this is going to be great. And of course, he just comes out and Dirty Knobs,
Yeah, okay.
and he was astonishing. But I completely agree. You know, you get those old, something about the dust in those old amps when you spark them up, and it was really, really special.
Yeah, wicked.
Yeah, Subro Pontus, Dirty Knobs. Yeah, great.
Gene Johan says, pick on a bass. No, not normally, Gene. I was just so it was audible. Yeah, not normally for me, but if it's the right thing, then yes. But generally not. I usually put a rag underneath the strings to mute it off as well. So flat and a rag.
Right.
So it's like
Cool.
Yeah.
Brian Carpenter says, any experience with Laney Lionheart amps? I only ever heard, well, had experience with one when there was a period when Stephen Wilson was using, has been going through some guitar players, and for a while he was using, who's the guy that the Boss demonstrator? Crazy good guitar player.
Alex Hutchins.
Alex Hutchins. And Alex came and did a stint for Steve. Quite a long stint. He was brilliant. And he was using the Laney Lionheart. And that thing is that Laney amp directly, the lineage is that thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's really, really cool. So I'm pointing at the old Laney Supergroup, which is an astonishing amp. But yeah, they're very, very cool sounding amplifiers.
Yeah, I've always liked them. Don't know why we don't have one. But that BL30 that they did was really fantastic, like a small supergroup which you could crank and just sounded rock.
That was wonderful.
Yeah, really, really great.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we may wrap it up there.
Cool.
And say thank you to everyone who's joined us this evening.
Yeah.
Great fun it is too. Alex tunes his guitar in fourths all the way, says Frankie Holt. He does.
He does. And one thing that Alex did, which was a stroke of genius. So on our normal tuning, E, A, D, G, B, E. And when we get to G to B is a major third. And normally, if we went from that interval's a fourth, right? So E to A is a fourth, A to D is a fourth, D to G is a fourth. What Alex tuning was, right? But his genius was that on these two strings here, the B and the E string, there would be a fret and the nut one fret back on here,
so we could get the other two notes.
So he could. It was when he fretted, it was in fourths, but he could play an open E and still get, because if he played an open E, it would sound like that. But with the nut and an extra fret on those two strings, he'd get that. But when he fretted it, it would be. So it was really super, super clever. Stanley Jordan was the first person I ever saw do that tune in perfect fourths. And it's because you get all the shapes the same. So the interval with the shape, that's major third, but that there, minor third. So if you tune them all in fourths, all the intervals between the patterns are all the same. And when you hear, go and pick up, have a look at a video of Alex Hutchins playing. And he really is a very amazing guitar player. And I love the work he did with Stephen Wilson. It really sounded great. But that guitar was very, very clever.
Groovy. Okay, everyone. We'll call that a day, whether it be, I see the chat, whether it is morning or evening, wherever you are in the world. Depending on how the sun is rotating, the earth is rotating to face the sun, I mean. Given that apparently is what happens. I believe that's silly science. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you Friday. Friday's show will be Blues Breaker or Blues Driver. Should it be Blues Breaker or Blues Driver? What's the difference? Marshall Blues Breaker, Boss BD2 Blues Driver.
Yes.
Plus a Origin Effects Halcyon Blue and the new Keeley Blues Disorder.
Yeah, it's a fun show.
Yeah. Following week will either be Adam Miller or a show on wireless eventually.
That is a fun show.
Meanwhile, we'll bid you adieu and say thanks for being here. Massive thanks to BV for helping out with everything. And yeah, be well, y'all. Have a good week. Have a good moment.
Indeed.
That's much better. All moments. Play us out, Dad. That's better.